Isaac and Becky Childs are with us. Isaac, as a closet journal writer, note taker, and self-improvement junkie, strives to live an authentic life full of adventure. His dream and purpose is to inspire others to see and recognize their true potential and worth. Journaling has changed his life and continues to help him be a better husband, father, and business owner. Isaac has been an entrepreneur most of his life. He started his first business at 17 and sold it at 19. And of the many businesses Isaac has started, one thing that was always missing was passion. Now, as founder and CEO of Rustico, his passion for writing has merged with his desire to inspire others, and the result has been successful and fulfilling. Isaac believes in the power of having a group of like-minded individuals, business owners, and leaders to help push you and support you in business and in life. Becky Childs is the co-founder of Shine Yoga School. She leads yoga teacher trainings and mind, body, soul retreats. Her and Isaac have teamed up to teach meditation and journaling workshops. It's a wonderful way for them to combine their passions and share them with others. In the words of Becky, Isaac is my best friend and biggest support. He's always encouraging me to shine. He's always down to make my dreams become a reality. He offers me different perspectives and delivers wisdom with kindness and helps me maintain a clear mind. Isaac and Becky have been married for 20 years, and they have 3 kids, Tyler, Asher, and Allie, and they have 2 labs, Lilo and Coconut. So give a warm welcome to Isaac and Becky Childs. Welcome, welcome. I've been so excited for today since our conversation last week, I think, was when we connected. And there's so many good things to share and so many good things that I could say and that I want you to talk about. But let's just start at the beginning. I feel like a good place to start is just let's talk about the fact that you started a business, Isaac, at 17 and then sold it at 19. Let's talk about this young entrepreneurial journey that you had.
Yeah, so that business was really just see a need, fill a need. I lived up Smash Fork Canyon in Covered Bridge, and it's just outside of Smash Fork city limits. So the trash doesn't get collected in that area, so you have to haul it down. Each family does separately, and I come from a large family, 10 kids, and my job was to haul the trash down on the weekends, which is a lot of trash when you have 10 kids in your family. And I was really frustrated at 16, loading up the trailer, hauling the trash down, and was outside in the front yard one day, and my neighbors next door were getting ready to haul their trash down, and I was like, hey, I'll just take the trash down for you, and that just kind of hit on me immediately, like, oh, maybe I could charge for this. And so I instantly just made some little flyers, put them out across the different households in the canyon, and said, hey, I'll take your trash down on Saturdays if you leave it out. Here's $40, or pay me $40, for a month, and everyone took it up. Before you knew it, in 2 years, I was hiring my brothers and my family and everyone else so I could have a free weekend, because it did take every weekend. But that was really how it started. It was just see a need, fill a need. So.
Okay, we have to dive into Rustico because I feel like it kind of goes along the same lines of just something that kind of happened. And what a lot of people might not know is that Rustico started when you were in college.
Yeah.
So tell us the story. How did it happen?
Yeah, so Rustico is another one of these just happen as it comes along, I think. Over time, I actually figured out that there was a lot more to it. It's actually very tied to my purpose, my personal purpose. But when I first started it, it really stems from my love of journal writing. In fact, Darren, I think I need to go to Florence to find that guy. We're looking for a good salesperson, so... But no, I love to write, and it's always been a passion of mine. So I took some courses at BYU. I wanted to design and make these leather crafted journals just like you saw in Italy, and I didn't want to pay the prices that they were costing at the time as a poor college student. So I created this product for that purpose, and largely just sold to family and friends. It was something where everyone saw my journals and was like, I want one. But I didn't do anything with it until a few buddies of mine and I were in a marketing class at UVU, and this is 2000, 2001, and the syllabus at the first of the semester, we were reading through it, and down at the bottom, the professor had written this statement that was, if you build a website and sell $20,000 worth of product through the site, you get an instant A in the class. And yeah, so we were thinking snowboarding. over school. And this is at a time when Nike was still struggling to sell products online because credit cards, et cetera. And so we used my journals as the product to sell on the website. So we built this website. Within a couple months, we actually had Disney call us, and we sold a bunch of products for them, and then got the A in the class. So that's really kind of how it started. So
the A in the class is the first win, and Disney calling is definitely a close second. How did that process go? How did they find you, and what was pivotal about that moment for Rustico?
Yeah, so Disney was interesting. Obviously, we were super stoked. They called us. They wanted us to create these custom leather journals for a documentary that they were doing called Storm Stories on the Discovery Channel. And it was a press release. It was a couple thousand units. So I designed these ship logs that looked like they had been off the bottom of the ocean and they'd been recovered from a shipwreck, and really cool, beat-up old leather books. We went through a couple weeks of prototyping and design and development, and they finally said, yes, we're going to do this. And I remember my business partner at the time, Jeff Moss, was actually on the phone with them. And he's like, okay, great, send the PO over and let's get this going. And the lady on the phone says, no, not yet. We need to do a social compliance audit and come out and see your factory. And Jeff was like, well, what for? And she's like, we want to make sure it's not 3 guys in a basement or a warehouse. And that's literally what we were. It was 3 guys in a loft at the time. And so we scrambled. We postponed her and said, oh, yeah, you can come on out, but we need a couple weeks. We're going to be at trade shows, or I can't remember what we said. And during those 2 weeks we went and found a warehouse. We hired all of our friends. And we were calling back and forth. And so when she showed up, we looked like we were a lot bigger than we were in order to get that deal to fall through. So
sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You fake it till you make it if Disney is calling your phone. Mm-hmm. I also agree with that. So then from the start with Disney, you guys also ventured out into some wholesale, right? Mm-hmm. And secured a deal with Sundance. Was that the first?
Yeah. Sundance was actually our first account. This was actually pre-Disney is really when that started, mostly from just family and friends. I actually worked at Sundance. And that's how Rustico really became. It was very organic growth. I knew the buyer for the Sundance catalog in the store at the time. She was my boss. And she saw one of my journals one day and was like, dude, I want that. And I was like, great. I've got some leather and paper. I'll make you some. And I was actually going on a trip down to South America with some buddies for a couple weeks. It was a big trip. So I made her a couple 30 or 40 books and just said, hey, sell them in the store. I didn't even know what to charge her for them. So I was just like, you sell them. We'll take care of it on the back end when I get back. And when I got back, she had called me numerous times and had left a couple messages and said, hey, I put them in the catalog. We already pre-sold a couple hundred units. You need to start making journals. So that was kind of how Sundance came along as our first wholesale account. So.
And when did you two start dating? Were you dating during the Disney deal? Were you dating after the Disney deal? Not to get personal here, but I'm just so curious.
I'll let Becky go for that.
We were dating. We actually met in the backseat of a Jeep. We were on both of our roommates were going 4-wheeling through the mountains, and we just ended up sitting in the backseat together. And there was a leather journal on the floor, and I was just like, oh, that's a cool journal. Where'd you get that? And he's like, I made it. I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I own my own business. And like, he literally like worked at Sundance in the general store and sold them like 5 to 10 journals a month at the time. Like, it was not a business, but it still was like, ooh, that's so cool. Okay. And so we met definitely like during the like poor college years, like nothing. And even when Disney happened, like that's when we met before all of that.
Yeah. So just a little bit of, so we started the business September as a business, September 2001. We got married in August of 2001, and right after we got married,
like a week before September 11th.
Yeah.
It was when Rustico was born, or Isaac Designs at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I remember telling her dad a couple weeks after we got married that I was quitting my full-time job so that I could pursue Rustico full-time. And if you know her dad, that was pretty intimidating. So.
But it went well. I think it panned out well for both of you. And you ended up deciding to sell Rustico, right? So talk to me about that decision and that process.
Yeah, so this comes back to snowboarding. So we wanted to snowboard, which is why we did the marketing class assignment, and I literally didn't snowboard for the next 5 years. We jumped into Disney. One of the benefits of that was that we got pushed through as a preferred vendor, which is, to be a preferred vendor for them is a really great place to be, really tough to get that. And of course that brought a lot more business for us. So I actually quit school pretty much within the first 6 months. And what we signed on as buddies and friends as a 2-year operating agreement turned into five hard years. And I didn't snowboard those full 5 years. And so we were burnt, to be honest with you. We were just done. And credit to my partners, this was more of a passion for me, but this was absolutely something that they looked at as something to do until they wanted to move on in their careers. And so at 5 years...
it was long, work days. They didn't know how to balance out life yet. He would go to work early, come home late at night, be on emails all night. He hadn't found that balance yet. So I think they were all burnt out of how to balance family and his personal life and Rustico.
Yeah, and in addition to that, we kind of had a sit down, and the question was really one, how do we separate this, or how do we back off of this in one way? And what it really came down to for us was our friendship was way more important than what we were doing at the business. And so for us at the time, it was the right thing to do is to just sell it, to keep the friendship intact. So that's what we did.
I love that, and I respect that a lot. What did you learn in the selling process?
Well, that deal only lasted a year. It rescinded actually a year to the day that we sold the business. So I learned a lot in that process. One of the big things I learned is don't use the business as financing for the business. That's probably not a good thing. Cash up front is always better than cash down the road. Is probably the second thing I learned in that process. And then the biggest thing I learned through that, though, was really, it actually brought me back to the whole purpose behind what I was doing. The first 5 years was such a blur and such kind of a natural progression of growth that I just kind of flowed with it. But in that year I had off, I really recognized how much passion, how much purpose was put behind what I did, and I really missed it. And so I felt very fortunate to actually have it come back.
And so talk to us about the process of returning to Rustico. What did that look like? How did that come to be? And what ideas and opportunities did you see for the company coming in as a returning founder?
Yeah, so that really shifted my mindset. I think having some time away is massive. A great way to reflect, to kind of see that bigger picture. And so my two partners had moved on, and so we came to a pretty good, simple agreement on how I was going to buy them out, which I picked up a silent partner at the time, my cousin, and he's been with me for 14 years, amazing guy, Jim Loveland, but he's as a silent partner. And what I really saw with the business at the time, where we focused more on wholesale and our B2B side of the business, we saw an opportunity back in really e-commerce and in D2C brands. So while we started with the website, we really actually didn't even pursue building a website till almost 2012, and that's pretty interesting if you think about it, especially where everything is so direct-to-consumer focused now.
And you had such a heavy focus on wholesale, and I'd imagine in the last 3 years or so, the wholesale side of your business got hit pretty hard during the pandemic. So talk to me about what you did to counteract the effects of the pandemic.
Yeah, so pandemic, I think every business had to pivot as well as tactically make some changes in order to survive, at least at some level. For some, it obviously was a super success. Because we were pretty diverse in our channels, our direct-to-consumer channels and our e-commerce channels really exploded and pushed us forward a couple years, 2 or 3 years. But our wholesale channels really took a hit pretty hard. And one of the things we did to actually pivot during the first part of the pandemic, the first few months, was we shifted our entire manufacturing process from leather making goods to cloth masks, just face masks, because we saw a need there and filled the need. And it wasn't a play for us to do long term. It was a short-term play for me to keep my people busy and employed, which was super important. And we actually picked up some pretty big contracts during that time, and were able to actually employ a few other cut and sew shops in the valley that had been decimated because most of the work they do was for youth sports, just locally here. And all that went away for a couple of years, and 30 or 40 employees in a cut and sew shop is completely out of work, and we were able to give them quite a bit of work. So that's really how we pivoted during that time, at least temporarily.
Excellent. And I love that part of that was also taking care of the community and keeping people employed.
That's actually, I wanted to say too, during that time, during COVID, the way he is a business owner is so impressive to me, and I'm constantly like love so much more how he does it. But like so many companies had to do layoffs and really lower how many employees they had. And it was really important to him to keep as many as he could, especially his favorites, especially the good ones that they've been with him a long time and he really loved who they were. And it was really cool to see how he made that happen. Instead of like cutting our costs, he doubled down, and we took out everything on our home. We took out every credit card, like pulled all of our money, like personally, and put it into Rustico because it means so much to him to like keep the culture there, and just his employees mean so much to him. I mean, when he went through cancer, like Rustico like kept going when he wasn't there. And so it just made us both realize how special our employees are, and like how the business can keep functioning without him being there. It didn't grow, but it maintained. And that was amazing when he wasn't functioning at the mental capacity that he normally could. So it's just, we've really grown to appreciate who works for us and their dedication to Rustico.
Well, and what I'll add to that is there's no way I could have doubled down and really reinvested a lot of what is our life savings without Becky's support. So.
Funny though, because people say all the time, like, how did you let your husband start a business when you were first married? I'm like, when you're first married, it's not a hard thing at all. You have no money, so you have nothing to lose. Like, it wasn't a big deal at all. But now it's more that I believe in Rustico. I believe in its purpose. I believe in him. I've seen him as a business owner. I've seen his integrity, and I see how his employees respect him. So that to me, and Rustico's borrowed money from us all the time. Like, it's not an abnormal thing. And when we did over COVID, he's just like, sign these papers. And I'm like, okay, just signing them. And he's like, I need you to know the like weight of what you're signing right now. Like, if this goes bad, we lose everything. Our house is gone. Our cars are gone. I'm like, our cars are gone? Like, what? Like, how do we lose? Like, we have these paid off or this or that. Like, how do they take that? Nope, they take everything. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Like, I just like was all in because I really do just believe in his passion and vision.
And I think that speaks a lot to your trust in each other and your leadership within your own relationship, which I think is really beautiful. And I know it's been a team effort because you just hit a great checkpoint for Rustico and surpassed $7 million in revenue, which is wonderful.
Huge credit to my team for a lot of that, for sure. So, like Becky was saying, we have awesome people that have been with us a long time, and proud of them.
Well, congratulations. We're cheering for you. What's next? What are the next growth goals? What do you foresee for Rustico?
Yeah, so this last year we actually brought on a partner and a couple guys. Company RevU has a couple partners. One of them, which I've known since high school, actually lived with me in Covered Bridge Canyon. And with them on board, the goal is really for us to really expand Rustico into a broader marketplace of leather goods to start with, and then other products as well. One of the unique things about us is that we make it all here. Which is becoming more and more of a prized commodity. And we have a pretty specialized design, product development design capability, as well as our customization. So we want to broaden that with not just Rustico as a brand, but a few other brands as well. They've come on board to help us do that. As in terms of Rustico and me, my big focus, like I said, is in the journal side of it. I mean, now we make 350 other types of products outside of just journals, but we're building out some content based pieces that are more around why journaling, what's important about it, how you can journal, how different ways to not only increase productivity, but more importantly, what we feel like is mindfulness balance, meditation, really kind of bringing back this passion into people's lives is a big push for me, and that's where we'll probably go.
And I love that so easily ties into everything that you are now doing, because you were really involved, Becky, in the beginning with helping with marketing and social media at Rustico, right? And now you are starting your own venture and you've opened your own yoga school. So talk to us about that process.
When I was working for Rustico, like just doing when Instagram started, I did all their Instagram, and it got bigger, and we had to do photo shoots, and I had to do modeling and styling, which was so fun. But it just got to be really busy, and Rustico got busier, and we started to work more closer together, and he started to depend on me as an employee rather than his wife, and I didn't like that. I didn't like the responsibility of like fulfilling what he needed. I'm like, yo, why do we need to? I didn't like it. So it was nice to it was kind of an easy transition to step away, and yoga came into my life when my dad was dying of cancer. And I just had a really cool spiritual experience happen in a yoga class that kind of changed me and started this whole path of doing yoga and just really helping people find peace for themselves, but also loving who they are. Just really finding that confidence. Happiness comes to me so naturally, and yoga has brought me something, and yoga philosophy has brought me ways to teach people how to find happiness in this stillness and quiet, and also to bring in journaling. We just started doing meditation and journaling workshops, and so that's been really fun to do it together, because I've been doing meditation and journaling workshops for a few years now, and then I'm just like, why am I not doing this with him? Like, he's the expert on journaling. Like, I've journaled since I was 8, so I'm like an experienced journaler, but like the knowledge and science and logic behind why journaling works, he has that. I have the experience and feel, but he's like the science behind it. So I love that he balances out the yoga, like, yeah, it's a feeling, it feels good, I do this, and it makes me happy, but he knows why it does and why it makes me feel better. So it's been really fun to do it together and to see him progress as a speaker, to see him progress as a presenter, and to like, I don't know, like not command the room, but in essence, command the room. Like he's been like more, it's easy for him to do at his boardroom in Rustico. Like it's easy to be like, yep, we're doing this. But when you're talking about journaling, he feels less than adequate. And it's been really fun to see him grow in that area. That doesn't come naturally, but it's in his head and it's in his heart, and it's been fun to see him put it out there.
Well, I think this is where you shine, babe, and I'm okay to be your employee for a little bit. So
I love it. The dynamic duo. Amazing. Well, you're both very successful business owners and clearly very strong partners, but you're also loving parents. How do you do it all? We talked about earlier the struggle to find the work-life balance that was not there in the early days, but it seems like is much more there now. Do you have any secrets, tips, advice for all of the entrepreneurs here?
Yeah, without starting a whole nother journey of our life, she did mention I had cancer, and that was actually a huge catalyst for me on figuring out balance. You would think I would have learned during the first 5 years, but in 2008, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer and went through 6 or 7 rounds of chemo and really had to take a year off for my health. And it did help me recognize, like, as passionate I was about Rustico and the business side of it, I needed to create some balance in my life. And that was a huge catalyst for me to recognize that businesses are going to come and go, the day-to-day is going to happen, but family and your health is always the priority, should always be the most important thing. And I had to learn over time, like, for me to be a good business leader, to grow the business the way I wanted to, I had to protect the asset, which is really me, and that's my physical and mental health more than anything. And then, of course, as my kids have grown, I've absolutely looked at the business as a secondary thing. Like, it's important for me to grow the business. I have desires to see a lot of things there, but it's more important for me to see my kids grow up and be amazing humans and adults in the process. One of the ways that we really actually find balance, though, for us is we travel like crazy. And that's something we don't.
We have to find balance in that, too, because we love that a lot.
Even to the extent that I think our kids sometimes feel very left out because we travel a lot without them.
They have school and cheer, so it's hard to take them with us sometimes. But one of the ways we find balance, too, is which I'm sure a lot of you know, the minute you become successful in something, more and more things come into your lap that are awesome. They're really amazing opportunities, but it's hard when all these, and I'm a yes person, so I want to say yes to everybody, everything. If someone invites me on a trip, I'm like, yeah, I'm there. Yes, yes, yes. Like, I just want to say yes to everything. So as good things are coming in, it's really hard to keep that balance of family, because you can fill up your life so quickly with all of these amazing opportunities. And one way I do that is including God. I have to, because it's so weird, and I have this challenge in my body because I'm like, this is such an incredible opportunity, but why does it not feel right? And it's the coolest thing to like see that it's just fun to have that connection. And I'm so grateful to yoga for that, because it's so much more than prayer. It's like this. It's just really been a really cool connection that I have with my Father in heaven, and I just love that He guides what I say yes to now, especially to help balance out our family and I love how Isaac is the same. Like, his mornings are very intentional. He does this miracle morning routine that he does, and he journals and he meditates and he does all these things to get him organized for his day, and he works out, and he's just so good about that. And I respect that, because I feel like we're very much on the same page of keeping our connection. But it's a constant reevaluation. It never stays the same. It's just constantly fluctuating.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me now is pace. I really, I don't know if it's a mantra, but I'm always saying that a lot, especially when it comes to business, because there are constantly opportunities, and you're being pulled in so many different ways. You know, my marketing director will come in and be like, let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do this, or I'll come up with 4 new ideas and products and be like, let's go for this. And pacing is so important. And some of it is saying no, knowing what to say no to, but pace is really the mantra I think I follow.
I love that. I want to make sure that we have time for audience questions, so we will open it up for that now. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we will have a mic runner run a microphone to you. Please ask your question into the microphone so those watching online can hear you.
Yeah, hi. I appreciate your coming here today and telling us about your company. But I have a question. So I go to 1 Million Cups all the time, and throughout the years, I've noticed, let's say maybe products that you could incorporate into your company. Do you ever look at some of the presentations that are given at like 1 Million Cups and think, rather than them starting from scratch, they could totally be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not familiar with 1 Million Cups, so I'm not sure. Okay.
Every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, and it's across the country. It's 9 to 10. I think there's 180 different locations started by the Kauffman Foundation, but it's a time where people can come and do a presentation and get feedback from the audience. But
cool. Yeah, it sounds like something we should look at.
So you guys do a lot of really cool things, and I've been a huge fan of Rustico and you two personally for a long time. Leave Your Mark was something that I thought was really cool with Rustico. Can you talk about kind of that trademark and what it means to you? And
yeah. So Chris, thanks for that. Appreciate it a ton. Leave Your Mark is the tagline that we came up with at Rustico probably back in 2012, maybe 13. And what that really is, it's funny because we started the business in 2001, and I didn't have clear direction or purpose that I could really even give to my employees till about 2012. And Leave Your Mark was a tagline that came out of that. And our purpose statement is really that we want people to step outside and reach within. We want them to live intentionally and leave their mark. And what we mean by that is that we want them to explore right? Whether that's outside or inside their head. We want them to really get real with that. The products we make, the journals that you're talking about, our whole focus in the product dev, everything starts with this idea around, is it a soulful artifact? And by that, what I'm talking about there is an example of that is I have this toolbox that I got from my grandpa, and inside of there's an old, worn-out hammer. It's pretty much useless to use. But what's really cool about it is it has his entire history of the years that he used it, for whatever purposes. It's still got the nice patina on the handle. It's all worn down. You know, it's an artifact. It's become this soulful artifact where he left his mark on it. So we absolutely want all of our products to have this potential for you to leave your mark on them. So thanks for that question, Chris.
When you first started, when you were in college, you mentioned obviously you didn't have a lot of money. Did you get any like funding at all, or was it just all out of pocket that you started?
Yeah, you know, when I was in college, a long time ago, I guess now, the opportunities like there is now to be able to have great partners to help you get started is pretty hard. I financed, me and along with my partners at the time, we financed, I should probably say they did more than me, but we financed everything off of credit cards for the first 2 or 3 years. So
You had one person, there was like one guy who was like a random investor who gave him like 10 grand, right?
Wow.
Like at the very, very beginning.
no, he let us use his credit so we could borrow credit.
Okay, yeah.
money.
But I was like, we did have one kind of random person that was like, it's just so different now. But yes, we definitely did all the financing on our own.
That's cool.
Do you have any journaling pro tips?
Yeah, I've got a whole course if you want it. Let me see if I can distill it down into two things. So I'm a firm believer that you should start your day with gratitude. So if there is a journaling tip, it's number one, 10 things that you're grateful for in the morning. Just write them down. And then one action that you'll take that day based off of those gratitude things. That's the way you should start the day. And then if there's nothing else, end the day with a headline. So one line a day. I'm a firm believer of stories. Like, we are storytellers. We want our lives to be that. One of the biggest things I hear, because we sell a lot of journals, and I get a lot of people that are like, yeah, I have one of your journals. And one of the questions I'll always ask is, have you written in it? 9 times out of 10, no, is the answer. And then I'll ask, well, why not? And the question really comes back to is they don't feel like they have anything of value to put in it. And so that's an interesting scenario, because it's like we all do, and I can go into a whole detail on that. But if you will start with just one line a day, create a storyline for your day, and really think about it like that, then you'll recognize how much of your life you're creating on a daily basis. So there's my pro tip on journaling.
Wonderful. Where can we find the journals? How do we get one?
Yeah, so I actually brought, you can go to Rustico.com. For everyone that's here today, I've got a little gift card. We wanted to actually bring some product, but this is just a little $25 off coupon you can use on the site. But go to Rustico.com and you can find our whole collection there, as well as come in to see us in Linden. We have a great little retail location just off the Linden Pleasant Grove exit.
It's a super cute store, you guys. Like, really cute.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much.